Okay. Ta-dam.
Zobaczymy za chwilę się.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So we are live now.
Wow. Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, so today Q&A session with a special guest. So straight from a beach in Thailandia, Mr. Maciej Czerwiakowski. Hey, Maciej.
Hi, Dariusz. Thank you for the warm welcome. We need to put things clear. Unfortunately, I'm not on a beach. It's like you're in Warsaw, I'm in Thailand. It's like 5 hours of time difference. So it means it's 11 p.m. at my time. So if I go to a beach, you can see nothing. At least you can see a lovely solid wood, doors behind me, and nice painting of a beach. Actually, it's a photo of a beach which is next to me. Very nice one. And yeah.
How far is the beach?
I don't know in the meters, but it's like 2 minutes walk from my place.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's not. I'm not living directly on a beach. I'm living next to a beach, but it's really super close. So basically, working in this mode that you spend most of your working day in the apartment or the villa with the AC, air conditioning on, and then you make a quick breaks for some swimming or snorkeling. It's really cool and can reduce the stress.
Okay. Okay. Maciej, tell us about yourself. So when did you start programming? Yeah, no.
Okay, so actually when I start programming, it's like a real prehistory. It's ancient stuff because I start with the basic, not the visual basic, guys. It was a basic, pure basic for the ZX Spectrum computers. It's a 8-bit computer, and it was like, oh gosh, I'm like over 30, so it was like a quarter of century ago. When I start doing my first software. Of course, as a kid, I was playing mostly, having this beautiful 8-bit graphics, but along with the computer, I got this book, Learn to Program in Basic, and I started doing it. Followed the book, doing some let's say retyping some listening of the codes, doing something, and I made my first hello world when I was like 8, 10, something like that. So it was really quite a long time ago. After that, I was really into the computers. It was like also time when the computers entered the households. I mean, we have the 8-bit ZX Spectrum at the beginning. Then some of my friends have first Intel-based computers, PC 286, 386, 486. So some of them even have the colorful monitor able to display the 16 colors. Not 60, not 16 millions, 16 colors. And that was a time when I decided to go into programming. It was nice to consume the content you had delivered or bought somewhere on the floppies. It was the era before the CDs or the pen drives. But it also was super cool to start learning how to make things, how to make the computers doing what you want. So yeah, I started developing like 25 years ago, but I'm doing this professionally. I mean, people pay me for that for the last 17 years. So I think it's a quite a long piece of time.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So,
thank you.
How do you see the role of programmer in today's world? You have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I mean, the role of the program, in my opinion, the role of programmer will just change from the guy doing the real magic in the assembler and entering all this like short comments almost of the machine code to the people who right now are responsible more or less in the more or less direct way for a comfort of our lives. If you look around, everything is powered somehow by the microcontrollers. You have your phone, you have your computer, you have your smartwatch, you have your smart dishwasher, you have your smart washing machine. We start entering in the era of Internet of Technologies. Little smart things you can install at your home, which can drive your blinds, heating systems, speakers, light, almost everything. And behind each piece of this hardware, there is always one or bunch of the programmers who writing the software. And I think this is a quite big responsibility for us to make the software good, to make these things driving user life being the flawless and robust and not causing any dangerous situations. Just imagine the average garage doors. Usually you have the infrared pilot, but right now you can have the mobile application which communicates through the Bluetooth with the receiver, someone in your garage, that when you arriving home, the garage doors are open and usually you or the gates to your property, to your lands are open, and image that there is a bug in the software. So for the thousand of times you just go full speed because doors are already open, and this 1001st time something went wrong and you smashed the door with the full speed because the software didn't work and it didn't open the doors, didn't notify you that doors are not open or gate is not open. So it might be a quite big responsibility, and I think we're learning this. We are at the beginning of the era when a little piece of the code start helping us in life, mostly by the IoT Internet of the Things, and we need to learn to write good working secure application which cannot be hijacked by someone and cause any damage to the human life. So it's a quite serious thing, I think.
Okay.
Quite serious thing sooner or later. I mean, when you were working as I don't know, the COBOL developer working for the mainframes hardware for the banking system, the worst thing could happen is that some bank. Sorry, guys, from the COBOL, I'm just simplifying the thing, but the worst thing which can happen is that some money transfer didn't arrive at time, and still someone could trace the papers back and fix the situation. Right now, we creating software driving intelligent buildings, elevators, intelligent cars, self-driving cars. So it's a way different area of the responsibilities for the developers, and I mean for the whole IT industry, because it's not like the developers are only involved into creating the software. There are product owners, managers, stakeholders who know what they want, who try to understand that creating the software, it's not like getting 10 developers in the dark room for 1 month and getting the working application out of nothing. It's a whole process of adjusting, fixing the bugs, business reality which is changing, and adjusting our approach to the business reality. So it's like it's a big responsibility for the whole industries, for the testers who approving or not that software is working good. Yeah, so this is I think this is where we're going sooner or later. More and more stuff will be driven by a piece of code, and this piece of code should be written and tested very carefully, because they can drive devices influencing our lives.
Our life, yes, exactly. I totally agree with you. Yeah, exactly. So it was very serious answer. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to be easygoing, but you know, just touching the serious topics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a serious topic. Let's back to the beach. Tell us, how you live and work on the beach now, and why?
Okay, so first of all, why? Basically, this whole life should be titled like when 6 weeks turns into 6 months. Basically, we came to the Thailand for 6 weeks at the beginning of the February. It was like planned work and travel. We know that we gonna to have 4 or 5 weeks or pure sitting in the one place and doing our job. My life partner is also into IT, so we can travel around and doing our jobs remotely. But then in the middle of our stay, we had this coronavirus outbreak initially in the Italy, then it spread across the Europe. And it appears we plan to back to Poland like beginning of March, and couple of days before the planned flight, we have this hunch that we want to rebook our flight tickets, and it was like really hunch because over the weekend Poland locked the border, all the flights were canceled, and we just bought like 1 month of extra time. So we initially planned to get back on the Easter's at the beginning of the April, but it appears that still Poland have the locked borders, closed flight borders. We have the tickets from the Qatar Airlines, and the Qatar was like saying to us, "No worry, guys. If the borders are closed, we just cancel the flight. Pick the convenient moment when you want to get back to your home. It's for free." So thanks to the Qatar Airlines policy and nice approach of the Thai government, we can stay here like it's a 4th month already, and we know that we won't get back to Poland for another month, definitely, because the borders are still closed and the flights are canceled. But yeah, finally, fortunately, the Thai government also take care of the tourists. They have, they have a very strict rules about the COVID and this whole pandemic outbreak. There is a curfew, there is a lockdown. You cannot travel around the districts, but this gives here a great results. Day-to-day number of the new cases decrease. There are no new cases. The existing cases, it's not the cases, it's people. There are not so much of them that you need to treat them as a cases. The people being sick are being treated right now and are healthy. There are no new coronavirus cases, so it gives good results. So we're staying here, and to be honest, when I talk to our friends in Poland, and as we talk before this live, it seems that Thailand is more convenient place to stay. At least we can do normal shopping, we can go to a beach. We have some limitations in traveling around, but guys, I'm living on an island, so I don't want to travel that much. I have a beach, shops around me, local people, try to get some money and move the business, street food business, to the Facebook groups. and all the tourists try to support them, so they are ordering from them. So just the business became the contactless and the social distancing, and you can have everything like during the normal touristic season. So that's why I'm sitting here, and we're having this call from Thailand, and I'm working like remotely for the 4th month with the perspective for the 2 another months being here.
Let's forget for a second the virus.
Yeah.
Is the beach programming a dream come true?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It depends on you and depends on your day. I mean, if you like traveling and if you are good adjusting to the new conditions and you don't need the sterile office to work from, beach programming is super cool. You can go to a beach, you can sit in the bar, grab some cool local food, grab a cold beer, write your software, have a meetings with your team, turn off or turn on camera, depends how your team react to your backgrounds on the dailies. And basically you can have a really, really nice working day. But sometimes when you have a lot of work to do, at least in my case, sometimes I just miss the proper office with the good desk and good chair and these 2 huge monitors to make things quickly. Working from a beach is like working during a travel. So if you're okay with having the laptop and mouse and you are not distracted by your surrounding, it's really nice. You have super cool memories and you have super cool remote office. But if you are type of a person who every day wanted to go to your office and need a separate space to work and need a silence and good conditions, I think the beach programming may be exhausting in the first row, then probably you will just get used to it and it's a matter of adjusting. I traveling a lot and my model is to work and travel. So when I look back into 2019, I spent like half a year in a travel and mostly working during this time. So for me, it's not a big problem to work from the airport, boat, sitting somewhere in the desert. I just need a laptop and the internet. But yeah, sometimes you just miss the good, comfy office, even if it's a home office but crafted for you. But basically, if you're asking me if it's a dream, I don't know if it's a dream for everyone, but at least everyone in their life should try to do this. Just go to some remote country, stay here for longer time, try to feel how the local people lives and try to work from here and leave all the problems behind you, because the great advantage of being here is that I can focus on work. I just the daily basis stuff stay in Poland. It's me, my project, the beach, and it's like if I spend the time, if I will have an easy morning or easy evening, and that's the biggest problem to solve, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's very interesting. I also love to travel, so and I know how sometimes it's hard to to combine the work and the travel. Yeah, so
it might be
that's
tricky,
why I'm
but
asking.
it might be tricky, but this is why it's worth to go. If you're going somewhere with this idea that it will be work and travel, go there for longer. Don't go there for 1 or 2 weeks because you will feel tired. Of course, you can work during this 1 or 2 weeks. We have like 1 week in the Marrakesh when we are able to work on a daily basis and doing the sightseeing. But you're really tired. If you're going somewhere for 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, or like in my case, half a year, you just get the routine and you find your way to the sightseeing, having a pleasure from traveling and working with this calmness in your mind that you don't chasing the deadlines. Because the worst thing you can have when doing the work and travel is having the deadlines back in your head and chasing the deadlines that you can move. You have to move from one place to another, and there is a major thing to do at your project, and you need to find time for both of things. And it's really hard to reschedule like your flight of the entire plane, and usually it's like you do some coding on developing in the strange places through the strange hours just to meet the deadline. So this happening when you're doing the traveling on the short term. But if you go for longer, you will find this peace of mind at your work that you have the established routine, and you can fulfill your work task and have a pleasure from being abroad.
Okay, perfect. So my next question is, what blogs, podcast, vlogs do you follow?
Oh, to be honest, I don't have anything. I mean, I'm just running my own vlog with some tips for the developers, but I'm not the guy who's subscribing or following on the regular basis blogs or vlogs, especially development stuff. I mean,
You mean the under5.dev?
Yeah, I'm in the under5.dev.
Tell us about the under5.dev.
Okay, so being here in Thailand, it gives me a lot of time for thinking. So I came up with this idea of creating the blog for the professional developers. I mean, for everyone, but it's not like a set of the beginners tutorials. I call it under5. It's available at under5.dev. It will be set of the videos on the YouTube. Each under 5 minutes, I wanted to share with you some business challenges or project challenges I had during my regular day-to-day job and how I solve them. I find out for the last really couple of years working that not always you can find the answer on the Stack Overflow, or not always the going through the documentation from the vendor it's a way of solving a problem, because most of this is like standard issues or standard problems. Sometimes you just want to make something non-standard, or you have your real life or real job problems, not making another to-do list, or just finding out how to hook up your Angular application with the Kubernetes cluster and send the telemetry data somewhere to the application insights in the Azure, just to see if everything is performing and how your app is working. And instead of making like 3-hour lasting videos about the Angular, Azure, and the Kubernetes, I prefer to make 5-minute videos how to solve this particular issue. You can use it as your own solution, you can customize it, you can inspire by it. I think it will be useful for everyone who needs like guidelines or working solution from the different domains. I'm not gonna focus in this under 5. It's not gonna to be only about the Angular. I mean, I'm working as a full stack Angular plus .NET, but I also working as a project manager, Scrum Master, DevOps engineer, and the system architect across my projects. So it will be like a holistic approach to the software development. I will try to pick fancy things which makes developer life easier, help them to save the time or cut some time or cut the corners on the architecture and infrastructure, and put this like or serve it on a plate in format of the 5-minute podcasts with ready to go solution how to achieve some project goals.
Okay, that's great. That's a great idea. So
Thank you.
regarding this, what you said, why Angular? Why you love Angular?
Angular is cool. I mean, Angular is cool for the backend developers. From the perspective of someone who spent like over 10 years doing pure backend, having some experience with the front end. I was working with Angular.js, some React, some Vue, some pure vanilla JS and HTML and some other frameworks like Knockout.js. I love the Angular for one thing. You have everything out of the box. I always have this discussion with the React or the Vue developers. Guys, it's nothing personal, but every time when you deciding to make a project in the React or Vue, you need to reach to the universe of this technology and pick the libraries you need for routing, for rights management, for modules loading, for something else. And when it comes to Angular, you got everything in the one package. You've got you just install the Angular. You usually, at least I doing this, enhance it with the Angular materials as a design framework, and you have the playground to make your application, whatever this application will be doing, especially if it's a business application based on the standardized controls, views, and you want to achieve some standard business goals. Angular is a perfect choice. Besides fact that you have everything in place, it's not a rendering library. It's a whole framework for writing the front-end application. You have the rendering engine, you have the separation of the templates, you have the separation of the model or view model, which is the component. You have the concept of the business services, which do the real front-end logic, and you don't need to just smuggle the business logic into the components. You have the routing with the all off-guards. You have modules or modularity and the modules loading. So Angular gives you all the tools you need to build a fully functional application, which performing well, which is robust, and you don't need to worry about that. One of your dependencies is like from this place, another from this place, and you think if it works in both versions or you're just solving some issues. And the Angular, and this is something which is like came up after everything. Angular structurize your projects. If you need to create the project based on like 30 or 40 views, Angular in the nice way structurize your projects into the views, controller, service, all the glue code you need to make the application work. With the React, Vue, or other frameworks, of course, you can achieve the same, but it's not like enforced by the framework. You have to keep in mind that it needs to be structurized. So if you don't do this from the very beginning, you will end up with the mess of multiple files, which is quite hard to maintenance, and it's not super easy later on to work with these projects. Maybe it's faster to create it at the very beginning, but after 1 year of developing, when you get back to this kind of the project, I don't want to call them patchworks projects, but projects made up from libraries from the different vendors, and with no structure set by the framework, it's very hard to maintain this project or find out what's in the code, and it's hard for the new members of your development team to go through the code and understand how it works. With the Angular, at least it's somehow divided into the views, controllers, services, structurized. You have the modules with the routing strategy on top of it, so it's easier to go through it. So that's why Angular. I mean, I try like couple of framework, couple approaches, but for me, Angular seems the best one to write nice, maintainable applications.
Okay, so let's talk about your upcoming workshop and why you choose the performance topic.
Okay, so the workshops are on 18th of May, so it's a Monday, upcoming Monday, and why the performance? I mean, in my opinion, performance is very underestimated in the world of the front-end developers. I mean, usually it's always like that when you're developing the application, there is always the front-end world, back-end world, and the backend is always too slow, or backend always provides responses with too much lag, and all the focus is on the backend to improve the performance or make the algorithm, data accessing layers, business services working faster. But from the other hand, there is a front-end application which is facing the customer, and if we scrap on the front-end application, even if the backend is super fast, the customer will see the spinner for loading something, or will wait to see the results. And according to like some research, if the customers wait like over 3 seconds to load the loading page, they very often just drop the idea to see a product, to see a website, because it's too long for them. And you can achieve a lot of in the Angular with built-in mechanism. I mean, it requires from you to learn how to work with the change detection loop, how to optimize your components for the change detection loop by the things you as a developer using on a daily basis, like the async pipes or passing the attributes or inputs for the components. But if you use them in the right way, you can speed up your application. You can make your application responsiveness. Responsiveness. I think that's the word. Much better, so the user don't have this lag feeling. Also, you can speed up the times of loading your application for the very first time when you. If you try to understand how the tree shaking mechanism work, how the Angular compilers work, how they trace the dependencies you are using, how they incorporate some classes from the libraries you are importing, and just drop some of them not used. If you have this knowledge, if you know how it's working, you can significantly reduce the size, the footprint of your code, of the application, so the user don't need to wait ages to load it. The same for the returning customers. If you jump into progressive web application world and find out how it works, how the service workers work, how you can deal with the caching of the content, and finding out how to how the content is changed, you can first of all make application working offline because everything is being cached. You can notify the users that new version of the application is being available, and you can do it without reloading application. And you can make, especially for the Chrome, you can make the application being installed as the Chrome app and working offline. I mean, totally off, not the totally offline, because it still probably needs to communicate with some backend API, but at least the front-end part is stored somewhere in the user computer, so it pop-ups like a regular desktop application, and the only time consumed on communication you have on the communication with the backend. And all of this you can achieve without serious optimization of any of the algorithms and of the lines of code of your application. It's just a matter of proper use of Angular built-in mechanism and understanding how the Angular works, how the change detection loop works, how front-end application is being served, and what you can achieve using Angular Service Worker for caching your data. And you can make the application loading in 0 to none time after installing on the computer, and working really fast without any notice for a user that you're just scrolling the tables having like 1,000 or 5,000 rows, and you don't need to worry about it. So that's the goal of the workshop. Became the Angular performance hero just in a few clicks, and really I want to show you guys how to achieve this, how to make your application working faster and loading faster just by using a couple of simple tricks without changing your code. When you learn how to use this, I mean, it's more like not the techniques, it's more like the style of the programming. When you switch to this style of the programming, you will find out naturally for you to write premature, optimized in terms of performance Angular applications.
Okay, perfect. So can we talk a little bit more about the points, what the participants learn during the workshop, what special you prefer for them?
Okay, so yeah, regarding the points, I can see that you're sharing the screen, so
Yeah,
I have
I
the cheat sheet for myself as well. First of all, we talk about the first time of our users. So what's happening when they enter your web application for the first time? How much data they need to load? How much time does it take? How much we can optimize it by proper bundling, minifying the code, uglifying the code. Keep in mind that all the JavaScript code, it's a regular text. So if you name your variables in the descriptive way, they take more space to load. When you run your source code through the uglifying plugins with changing the long names into the short names, you just gain a lot of kilobytes just or reducing the names of your variable functions in the code. We talk about the tree shaking. We talk about how the Angular compiler, especially the Ivy compiler, which is quite new to the Angular 8 and 9, how the Ivy handled the imports and how the Ivy tried to reduce the amount of the imported code from the external libraries. We also talk about the compression and the gzip compression on the server side. You will be really surprised how much you can gain on the transfer data when you simply just turn on the compression on your HTTP server handling your application. We also talk about the lazy loading. I mean, sometimes you need to load a lot of code to run your application, but not of them at the first glance, and you can lazy load some of your modules so the user don't feel the amount of the code which is loaded. We also talk about just-in-time and the ahead-of-time compilation. What's the difference? What's the gains, pros and cons? Because it's a different way of compiling the code, and sometimes pre-compiled code it's not the best solution for you. And we also talk about the server-side rendering, pros, cons, and how to use it in the best way, just to optimize your application in terms of customers' need. So we don't go deeply into the SSR. We just I just show you how to use the SSR so the customers enter your application and give you a time for load rest of the code. We also talk about the returning customers. I mean, the caching, hashing, and the service workers. It sounds nice, but it's all about how to cache your libraries, how to hash them in the, how to use hashing in the names, so the browser always know if it needs to load the new version of your code base, sorry, or not. And we also talk about I will show you how to use the service workers, which overrides the built-in browser mechanism and give you the more control how the caching and hashing happens. And with the service workers, you can really achieve the applications which are totally load offline. After first initial loads from the servers, the entire web application in Angular can be available offline for the users. And then after we go through this, I mean, this is not even related that much to the Angular itself. It's a stuff around the Angular, easy to achieve with just few clicks, and giving you a huge performance gain. And after we do this, we just jump into the Angular itself, and we go through the change detection loop. First of all, I will show you how to profile the Angular application, how to get the profiling or performance monitoring information to find out if something is, if your app is working fast and need optimization at all, or it does not need and you can leave it as is. I also show you what's the difference between the production development mode when compiling the source code. It's really easy to forget about this, but the difference is significant. Then we go to the change detection loop. Change detection loop is less of the Angular, and it's also the weakest point of the Angular in terms of the performance. It allows you to make a nice data binding, so you don't care as a developer that how the variable is being displayed on the view. Just do it by the data binding. But Angular under the hood somehow need to detect the change of the value of the variable and repaint the whole view or update the view with the new value of the variable. And we can help Angular to handle this, or we can help Angular to make it faster. And I will show you how to do this faster. What are the very easy changes to provide on the level of defining components to make the change detection loop working much faster and omit the items which are not need to be detected for changes. We also talk about the immutable objects. It's like close to the concept of the store in the front-end application, but I don't want to touch the store or Redux or anything like that. I just want to tell you why the immutable objects and the async pipes are better in terms of the performance than changing the properties of the object. So this is quite not the challenging, but this is quite important, how to wisely use the async pipe in the Angular and to how to wisely modify the object so it can work in the most optimized way. And we also we talk a bit more about the advanced change detection, even getting rid of the change detection. It is possible to get rid of the change detection in Angular and force Angular to refresh our components when we want to do this, not when the change detection wants to do this. So this is another way to achieve some performance gain. And we talk a little bit about something which is built in the React, for instances, but it's an option in the Angular. I mean, it's a track by property when we do the ng for loop, and how to wisely use track by property just to invalidate on a view only the rows which are actually changed, not whole view, which also makes the application working faster for the customers, for the user. We also talk about a little bit about the concept of the decomposition and how to split the bigger components into smaller one and how to share the data between them and how important it is to make it properly, just to not pass a lot of changing object which triggers change detection often and cause some deadlocks or impacting the performance. And at the end, I think this is something what will be going for all the topics. But at the end, we just sum up why the pipes are important, why to use pipes. It's not even how, but why to use pipes instead of the component functions, and what's different between the input and the attribute flags, and how differently Angular treat them, and why attribute is worth consideration when you designing your components, and why it's important to understand the difference between them. So quite a lot of topics. I will squeeze it into one day of workshops. But I hope everyone will find out something for them, and I got some optimization tips and tricks. And keep in mind, guys, this is all about using the built-in mechanism. We don't do any traditional optimization like going through the algorithms and making them implemented in the more efficient way. We just optimize how we're using the Angular itself.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so much for a lot of valuable information, man. Thank you so much. And I know that it's midnight in your place. Yeah. So we should end this meeting. So one more time, thank you so much. Yeah, and we see in Monday.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you and share my point of view about on the development itself. And yeah, please join the workshops. I think it's a moment you can learn quite a lot about the performance optimization and how to make your life easier. And please go to under5.dev, subscribe and watch the upcoming videos. I hope you also find something valuable for you, and I will be able to help you with some development issues you can have, or challenges. I like call it challenges. So
Okay.
I hope to solve your development challenges in the future.
Super. Thank you so much, Maciej. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if you want, join Maciej's workshop. Just go to workshopfest.dev and choose this Angular performance workshop. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Bye. See you on Monday. See you later, guys. Thank you.